Hey everyone, welcome back to another video, and today we are taking a look at the Vans Lizzie Armanto skate shoe model. So this shoe actually interested me a lot because it's the first time in a long time that we've had a shoe that's designed by a vert skater. Now for pretty much every shoe model out there at the market, all the pro models are designed by street skaters and they're designing it with street skating in mind. But we've never really had a shoe that's designed by a vert skater. Now, the most recent one I can think of is the Lakai Proto by Tony Hawk, but Lakai already killed off that model, so that's irrelevant. There's also the half cab, but I believe during that time when it was introduced, previously as the full cab or whatnot, street skating was more of a thing and vert was dying off, so I really consider that more of a street skating shoe. Obviously, you can use either or, but this is the first time in a very long time that we had a shoe designed by just specifically a vert skater. And as someone who skates transition a lot, this sounded like the shoe for me. So let's start off with the fit. The fit is very snug and very narrow. So if you have a wide foot, it's not the shoe for you. You can pretty much just stop watching right now. The fit was so different from other shoe models, the Vans shoe models I mean, that I actually considered sizing up half a size, which is basically something I never do. But I know Vans typically, that as you wear them more and more, they get more loose and more floppy. So with that in mind, I just stuck with my normal size. And I gotta say, that was the right choice instead of sizing up. Because even though these were super snug and narrow, over time, as I skated them more and more, they became a lot looser and gave me a lot more room in the shoe. Meaning I could make them even tighter, and the shoe looked right, more proportional, but it still felt really snug and secure to my foot. So that's something to consider. This looseness actually happened on my first day of skating the shoes, so they break in fairly fast. Now I did get a little heel raise in the shoe. Now for those that don't know, that's pretty much just when you're wearing the shoe and you're kind of breaking them in and you're walking around, your heel just kind of raises up from the heel cup, and that can cause a lot of irritation on the back of your heel to the point where you might get blisters and bleed. I had a little heel raise, not enough to where it's like really noticeable and it would affect the performance of the shoes, but it was really only noticeable when I actually focused on it, when I thought about it. Now on my third or second day of skating these, the heel raise on my right foot actually felt a little bit irritating, to the point where it's kind of like I might be developing like a blister or rash or something. But after that, it just went away and I didn't have that problem again. I actually measured the laces. They're 56 inches long, which is perfect length for me, I believe, because it means you have enough excess lace here to where the laces just won't get untied, but it's not so much to where it's just hanging off the entire side of the shoe, where it might meet the sole or something. And these shoes also come with an extra set of laces. Vans is pretty good about that. In my case, the black and white versions, they came with a second pair of black laces. So the insole is not Pop Cush, and I'll put up some pictures right now. It's actually called something called Eco Cush, which is supposed to be the same thing as Pop Cush, except it's made with environmental friendly materials. I'm not going to pretend that I know anything about this topic, so I won't be talking about the materials or their environmental program or anything like that. So despite the Vans saying that it's the same thing as Pop Cush, this insole is actually a little bit thinner and shorter than the Pop Cush. The insole I'm comparing it with is the Skate Classics Pop Cush, which matters because the Vans Pro's Pop Cush is bigger, taller than the Skate Classics Pop Cush. So if you're not sure which one you have, if your shoe has a little checkerboard tag on the Vans tag on your shoe, that would be a Skate Classics and will have the new rendition of the Vans Pop Cush. But if your Vans tag has Pro on it and isn't checkered, it's going to have the first rendition of the Pop Cush, which is pretty tall in the heel, which a lot of people don't like, which is why they shortened it in the Skate Classics Pop Cush. And then they shortened it again in this Eco Cush, which I believe makes sense because one of the complaints that a lot of female skaters had with Vans, from what I'm hearing from personal experience or whatnot, is that the shoes are nice, except it can feel like that you're swimming around the shoes because they just kind of feel too big, even though you are wearing your normal size. And that's mainly due to the fit and to the insole just being kind of big for those with smaller feet. And despite this Eagle Cush insole being shorter than the Pop Cush, they pretty much felt the same performance-wise. A good mix of support and impact protection without sacrificing board feel. If there were any differences at all, it was very marginal and I didn't notice these differences. Now this insole actually reminds me a lot of Nike Lunarlon. So if you were skating like Converse back in 2018 or so, the Converse skate shoes would actually come with something called Nike Lunarlon. And this was a really nice insole, super firm, really supportive, and had really good impact protection. Unfortunately, Nike doesn't make that anymore. And I know a lot of people miss that insole, and this Eagle Cush really reminded me of this insole. Hey, they're even the same color. Alright, so moving on. The Foxing tape is actually sticky once you feel it. A lot of the other advanced shoe models actually have the same feeling, unless you get the shoe model in which this is glossy and very smoothed out. But if you get one that doesn't have that gloss, you're just going to feel that sticky rubber. But it doesn't really last that long once you start actually wearing through the first layer of the rubber. And as you wear it more and more, that sticky feeling just kind of goes away. So the material is going to be a mix of suede and canvas. You have suede on the high wear areas, so your toe, your ollie area, the eyelets area, and a little bit on the heel. But the rest is going to be of canvas. So pretty much this entire middle part here. And as you can see, I'm already wearing through this part where the jazz stripe is. This isn't really a high wear area to where you're going to be wearing through it most of the time. But that's just something to consider if for whatever reason you just eat through this area. There's also ventilation holes on the inside facing part of the shoe, but I didn't feel like these actually did anything, which I'll get into later. Now the sole is very interesting, mainly because it actually extends past the foxing tape. Now what I theorize this does is to prevent the foxing tape from separating from the sole, because Vans and other vulcanized shoes in general, through general wear and tear and skating and whatnot, the foxing tape will actually separate from the sole. So you just have this flap of rubber just flinging around, and a lot of people don't like that. I hate it especially. But since the sole extends past the foxing tape, that area where the foxing tape is glued to the sole doesn't meet the ground, and therefore it doesn't get abused or beaten up through wear and tear. And so far, that theory has been proven correct. I have not had the foxing tape separate from the sole on both shoes, so I think that's a really interesting and really beneficial design. Now this thing on the heel is actually a pull tab, so if you lift it up, it has Lizzie's name on it, but you can also use it to pull on the shoes a lot easier. So instead of having to like put your fingers on the side and then having your fingers just crush between the shoe and your foot, you can just use this pull tab to easily put your foot into the shoe, and then when you're done, you just kind of fold it back into place. And if you don't like this thing, you can honestly just cut it off, and it won't affect the durability of the shoe at all. Alright, so before I talk any more about it, which I'm going to, let's just watch me skating and just going through these shoes, and then after that, I will continue with this video review.
Shit.
Alright, so that was me skating the shoe, and I'll bring up some more relevant footage as we go along. Now the sole was really nice and really grippy without being overly grippy, at least for me. Since I skate transition most of the time, it's really important that I stay on my board, but I get off my board when I want it to, rather than just, randomly slipping off. If you're that sort of person that really likes slippy soles or really doesn't want to feel locked onto their board, I would use a less rough grip tape or sand on the soles once you get them. So to try to demonstrate how good of a grip these shoes were, they worked pretty well in a restaurant environment, even after I skated them. So I help out at a restaurant every weekend, and in the kitchen, there's always like liquid on the floor, and there's always like something that you might slip on. Now, even when I'm carefully walking through the wet surfaces, I could really feel the grip of the shoe just working, making sure I stayed onto the ground, and it wouldn't let me slip, unless I was running or something. Now, that's not saying that this is a good restaurant shoe. That's not what this review is about. But that is just something to show how good of the grip the sole was. Now, one of the biggest things I love about the shoe is the toe. Underneath this suede is more Duracap. And it's not really meant for your flip tricks or whatnot. It's meant for knee sliding, which has been a very underappreciated aspect of skateboarding. So if you don't skate transition or vert, what we do when we wear knee pads is that when we're bailing from a trick, instead of trying to run out of it, we would just tuck our knees and then knee slide. And then that is the easiest and safest way to bail from a trick. Because last thing you want to do is when you're skating a 10-foot ramp and you mess up on a trick, trying to run out of it is really risky because it's really hard on the body and the knees and the back. But you also run the risk of blowing out a knee or breaking an ankle or something like that, and knee sliding is just the safest way to do it. Now, with knee sliding, however, it really destroys the toe. So for an example, with the Converse Chuck Taylors, they have that rubber toe cap, and that's really nice for the knee sliding because it really protects your toe while you're doing that. Thing is, that toe cap runs through really, really fast, and when you just kind of look down in the shoe, it looks ugly. Now, with the suede, however, it doesn't wear through fast like the rubber. It's pretty durable actually, but it feels really unnerving when you're just coming down and you start sliding and there's only some suede protecting your toes from the pavement as you're sliding. Now what Lizzie did with her shoe was that she got the suede with its durability and put rubber underneath it. So you have more protection when you're knee sliding, more protection for the toes, but you have a material that's not going to burn through when knee sliding. And that, again, is my favorite part of the shoe because I can knee slide as much as I want on it and just not have it look ugly. So the ankle here, it's not padded. It's just some canvas. I don't believe there's any rubber behind that, but I could be wrong, but I just don't feel it. It's just a good amount of canvas. It actually has that articulation point that I'm talking about in my New Balance video, where they sew this line through here, which allows for an extra point of movement. So even though you have this all laced up and tied up, you still have some flexibility and movement range with your ankle if you want to do your flip tricks and all that. However, I wish it was padded because when I'm coming down from transition and I bail on a trick or whatnot, sometimes my ankle would just kind of come down and then hit the coping. Now this did happen a couple times when wearing these shoes and it wasn't like anything serious or whatnot, but it was something that I could feel. And I felt like just having a little bit of padding on the collar would have helped a lot. However, it's really not that much of a deal breaker. And if anything, if you want to cut these down into low tops, not having any padding would actually help that a lot. Because you already have the stitching to hold the canvas together, and you don't have to tape it down or anything, or worry about pieces of the padding just coming out or whatnot. You're just cutting off an extra part of canvas to turn it into a low top. And regarding the flick of the shoes for your kick flips or whatnot, I've been actually flipping my board a lot and landing them ever since getting these shoes. My wear area is around here rather than up here. And as you can see so far, they're holding up pretty well. Most of this damage here is from knee slides. And then my flip damage is pretty much right here. I felt like I was a lot more consistent with my kick flips when wearing these shoes, but I think a big part of that is actually just from practicing or whatnot, rather than the gear itself. But again, even so, I've just found my flips were a lot more consistent, and I think a big part of that is because the toe box is actually a little bit smaller than other shoe models. Vans, I mean. Now with the Vans, they're pretty well known for having their toe boxes pretty wide, so there's a lot of material between your toe and where you actually flick off the board, and some people don't like that, which is why they move on to a shoe with a thinner toe box, like a Nike Blazer. And then these And the toe box on this has slimmed down. Not so much to where it's like you'll have no material there, but there's definitely less material between your toe and the part where you flick off your board. And whether you think this is a good thing or not, it's all personal preference. Now, one thing to note is that this shoe is really not breathable. So if you skate in like really hot weather or you just have really sweaty feet, these are going to feel really damp and moist. And that actually got me concerned so much that I actually use shoe trees with these, like wooden ones. These are ones I use for my boots. And what these does, it helps absorb the moisturizer and anything that might have like been in the shoe. And I was really worried that something was going to grow in here. But thankfully, it's all healthy, nothing's happening in there. And I think the shoe trees actually help stretch out the shoe a little bit, so the fit was even better. And again, there's vent holes here, but they don't do anything. So, not really the best thing for the hot weather. I believe that is all I have to say about the shoe. Overall, I really enjoyed my time with them, and they honestly might be my favorite pair of Vans models. Obviously, I did wish that the ankle was padded, which is my major gripe about them. Other than that, I don't really have anything else to complain about. Now that has been the review portion of this video, but there's a lot of other stuff that I want to talk about in regards to the shoe and other stuff that's actually related to it. If that's not something that you're interested in, you can click off right now, but for those that want to stick around, here are my thoughts about what's going on. So the first off is just the aesthetic part of it. I just think it's a really nice looking shoe. You know, it's very nice, very plain, not too noisy, not too loud, and you really can't go wrong with it, honestly. There's nothing wrong with a nice, plain, basic shoe.
As a consumer, this shit is mad boring. Like,
alright, before you guys start yelling, that was obviously a joke. I know that's pretty obvious, but because it's the internet, I just need to say that out loud. But in relating to that, a lot of people have been saying that this shoe offers nothing new, and it just looks like a Gilbert Crockett high or a skate high, and there's just no reason to get the shoe. Now, I really disagree with this. I believe the shoe offers something new. It just might not offer something new to the main audience of skaters that have every product available to them. So it's no secret that a lot of skate products out there are designed by men and for men. Now specifically with shoes, pretty much every single skate shoe pro model out there is designed by a man, and the actual fit of his shoe is designed around his preferences. Now for those with like smaller feet, mainly women, the shoes may not feel like right, despite it being a unisex shoe. Now I know from talking with other female skater friends is that they like the Vans, but often it feels like that the shoe is kind of like too big, even if they're in their normal size, and it feels like they're really swimming around in the shoe, and it doesn't feel like a good fit. Now just the fit alone on the Lizzie Armanto shoes is a huge game changer, because now it caters to the audience that needs a thinner, slimmer, and pretty much a smaller profile shoe, especially for those that think that the Vans are just too big no matter what size they choose. And just the new fit of the shoe really complements the whole sizing stock of the shoe that local shops are getting. Because typically if you go into a skate shop, lowest size they might have is probably like generally like 8 in a men's. Now based on the stock of what my shop has and what other shops have in the area, they're actually stocking the shoes in the smaller sizes of the men's. Again, it's a unisex shoe, and pretty much the default sizing is going to be in a men's size. But this means that people with smaller feet, again, mainly women, are going to have this option. They're going to have a bigger supply of smaller shoe sizes that will fit their needs and is easily accessible to them if their shop has it stocked. So I think that's something really nice for those that like kind of walk in a skate shop and generally they're used to seeing all the really nice shoes just being stocked in like normal men's sizes. But now they finally have something where it's a really good skate shoe and also easily available to them. And so not only is the fit of the shoe and also the size availability of the shoe a really nice thing, again, it goes back to what I talked about the toe box. That thing, as a transition skater primarily, that's a really nice thing for me personally, because I can just pretty much knee slide all I want and have the shoe not look ugly. And it's a really nice design in that regards. Obviously, if you're a street skater and you're not knee sliding a lot, if at all, this won't matter to you whatsoever. But for those that are looking for that option, like me, that's a really nice benefit to it. So yeah, I believe that people who just look at the shoe at face value and be like, this is just a Grover Carpet high, this is just a skate high, it offers nothing new, I believe they're just objectively wrong, because it does offer enough things new to where it warrants being its own separate shoe model. But obviously, if it doesn't sound right for you, you literally have every other skate shoe model in existence to care about. People that just need that good insole but also need a snug, narrow fit and would like a shoe that is designed by a woman and has really nice features for vert and transition or whatnot, that option is now available to them. Now I know Vans marketing for the shoe is that like, oh, it's for everyone. I don't think it's for everyone. I think it's for the audience that felt like they never had a skate shoe product that felt right or felt right at home to them. And there's nothing wrong with that. Again, if it doesn't seem like a shoe is right for you, you literally have every other shoe option available out for you. You got Vans, you got Nike, Adidas, America, New Balance, and Lakai, and so on and on. Just having this one shoe model not appeal to you isn't going to be the end of the world. And I'm really hoping I made sense with this part. I'm sorry if I repeated myself or went on rambling too long. But just to sum it up, I believe the shoe does offer enough new to warrant it being here. So I believe that is all I have to say. If you have any questions or think I missed anything, just leave them in the comments down below. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.